children with special needs. Her story is one of strength, surrender, and the power of community support. And it reminds us of where we're all today. So please help me welcoming Jennifer Poss-Taylor. I was going to read her bio to each and every one of you, but I would much rather her tell her story herself. So, tell us briefly about your beautiful family and where it all began for you.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here, first and foremost. And also, I'm a proud Texan, so God bless Texas, but God bless Casa. Because before I get any further, our kids would have fallen through the cracks if it weren't for Casa. So, I truly believe in you guys. I knew I wanted to adopt at a very early age. I had been praying for a blonde hair, blue-eyed girl for a long time because I just felt like that would be God's way of telling me He'd answered my prayers. I had thought about fostering, but fostering just kind of fell into my lap. Friends of ours had found out about a blonde hair, blue-eyed girl that was up for adoption that was in the foster care system. And so y'all will probably learn that I'm more than a squeaky wheel. I don't know what to call myself, but I'm a roaring engine, I guess. So we got our foster care license in, gosh, it's been probably 20 years ago. It was in 2001, my goodness. And so we were able to foster quite a few, about a handful of kids, but we fostered and then adopted 2 children. And then we have another adopted child who, she was a private adoption, but we found out about her, or they found out about us through our stories through fostering and adoption. So my oldest is Ashley, she's 25. We got her when she was about 19 months old, started fostering her. My middle child is Grant, he is 22. We got him started fostering him when he was 4 days old. He was in the neonatal intensive care unit for a couple of weeks, and then we got to bring him straight home from the hospital and fostered him for a good 18 months or more, and then we were able to adopt him. And then Brooke is 22 also. Brooke and Grant are 7 months apart, so they're kind of like having twins.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and seeing as you went through multiple children, right? Because you fostered and adopted ultimately.
Yes. And some respite too.
And respite, yes. So you got to experience a plethora of sides of the foster care system.
Yes.
In that, when these children were placed in your home, what were some of the issues and concerns that arose in that time?
I'll start with Ashley's story. Hers was a little different because we did know that she was going to have some kind of special needs. And I wasn't worried about that at all. My background was working with, I have a degree from Tech, Human Development and Family Studies, and then I worked for many years as a professional working as a liaison between children with special needs and the medical field. So I thought, oh, I can handle that, but I was wrong. Grant, we did not know that he had special needs, but some of the other fostering children, they were just kind of dropped off. We didn't know that they would have special needs, but they did. And so that's one thing that comes to mind when the foster parents get the children. First of all, I don't think any child with special needs needs to go to any foster parent. I think there needs to be foster parents that just are equipped for special needs, or all parents need to be equipped for special needs. We need to find out kind of what their story is, what's going on within 24 hours, because that 24 hours when they're first placed in that new home that makes a big difference. Whether or not you're going to connect, whether or not you're going to know their story, and how to help them the best.
Yes. And regarding your children who you knew would come in with special needs, what did you do to try and prepare in those moments?
Well, I read a lot of books, did a lot of research. I reached out, back then there were yellow pages, looked through the yellow pages to what resources I could find, like ECI, things like that, depending on the age. And then just started making phone calls. We did run into some issues because some of the resources that I thought would be best for them did not take Medicaid, because the children in foster care have Medicaid. We were fortunate enough in some circumstances to just pay for services on our own, whether that was right or wrong. We did that because we knew that was best for the child.
And those gaps in the resources, what toll did that take on you and your family as you were navigating this new world and having multiple children who were
experience for us by directing us to some. The resources, I kind of created my own, honestly.
That's why she's here.
I created what's called, okay, I have to back up a little bit, but during this time when we were going through all the special needs, we lived in Midland. My oldest has fetal alcohol syndrome, and there weren't very many people in Midland that were familiar with fetal alcohol syndrome, and so that was hard to begin with. So I called Lubbock, and I just happened, the lady that answered the phone, she happened to be the director, and her son had fetal alcohol syndrome. And so that was a connection that kind of paved the way for everything. So we ended up moving to Lubbock. That was the primary reason. And then through that, I found physical therapies, speech therapy, feeding therapy, occupational therapy, mental therapy, just all of it. And then I created what's called a Mother's Village. And I would get in my closet and just type out on a journal, just rant. And that turned into a book. The book reached people all over the world. And we created a village. There's hundreds and thousands of us, parents that felt like we were alone. We're scared to tell our story because there's shame, there's fear, there's doubt, there's loneliness, there's depression, all of it.
In all the works, yes. And there was a part while we had multiple discussions about and as we're sitting here today and about to be talking about bridge building and how we progress as a community, there was a part of your story that really stuck out to me, and that is your church. And the activism and what was created in order to make room and space for the success of you being able to be a part of that. So
Yes.
let's speak a little about that.
Well, church is a big part of my life. My faith is very strong, and having children with special needs, 80% of families with special needs don't go to church because churches aren't equipped to handle them. And so that alone, of course, doesn't help with depression. But we found a church. Well, first of all, we would go to church and we would try, and then within 5 minutes our little buzzer's going off because we need to go pick up our kids, So then it got to where we just wouldn't go. But we finally found a church that was equipped for special needs. And the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, I was able to drop the kids off, go to Sunday school, go sit in the sermon, and my beeper didn't go off. And it was amazing. I could actually leave them there. We got to go on date nights when they would have, they would just help, take care of the kids once a month or on Wednesday nights. And it saved our soul, literally. Through that, just in that one little church community, I was able to develop a Sunday school just for families with special needs. There were like a dozen of us in that church alone. And that was a huge turning point for us and for my depression, actually.
Yes.
And for the kids. Oh my gosh, the kids. They were able to get Jesus into their hearts, get saved, and it helped them know that they weren't alone too. There were other kids with special needs, and there were other kids that accepted them and things like that.
Yes, and in our conversations, I just kept hearing and being reminded why community matters, right? Because no one should have to navigate these challenges alone. But not all of us, like I said previously, are equipped to navigate certain challenges. None of us are called to be a part of the movement that is taking place in one way or the other. But there are so many, a plethora of ways that you can get involved, that you can make a difference, that you can make a change. And being here today, sitting in these seats, is that first step. You are going to be making a change and a difference today in this bridge building challenge that is coming up, which I'm obviously very excited about. But I am so thankful for you for sharing your story and helping us to kind of bring in the next portion of the day, which is going to be making sure that we're building a community and knowing why that is so vital and so important